For the past 30 years or so, individuals have taken it upon themselves to alter the original intent of video games, while at the start, changes were more of a fun pastime, asking the question, what if we did this? Over the years, the mods have evolved drastically and have, to a degree, become professions in their own right, with people creating entire libraries of changes to a single aspect of a game, or overhauling an entire game into something where it's hard to see what the original even looked like. Undoubtedly, mods have drastically improved their respective games and the industry itself. Not just by improving the mechanics or the feel of a game, but by making them more enjoyable on both the level of enhancing the lore or by adding comical skins, such as the tank in Left 4 Dead 2 as Shrek. They've helped diversify the landscape, they keep people interested in current games, but they also revitalise older games, keeping the dearest games feeling fresh. One of my favourite examples of an older game made new is with the mod known as Mental Omega for Command & Conquer Red Alert 2 Yuri's Revenge, an absolute classic real-time strategy game which still sounds strong today, but with the power of a mod behind the game, it has been moulded into a completely fresh experience. It adds new maps, new units, and a new campaign and a multiplayer mode. This mod took a game which was 12 at the time, reworked it into something which felt as good as the original, just with a few new things to do, and that is perfect. It got people playing again, it got people interacting and sharing ideas for things to include. It did everything a good mod should do: inspire. There are currently 3 primary sources players go to in order to download and play mods. These are the Steam Workshop, ModDB, and Nexus Mods. The most popular game for mods is without a doubt Skyrim, Bethesda's love child which they never want to let go. The stats as shown on Nexus Mods show that for Skyrim alone there have been over 1.4 billion mod downloads for one game on one site. That is an insane amount of downloads. This alone shows how big of an industry mods are and the potential it has and the outreach it can get to. Some publishers, however, don't like their games being tinkered with. I'm looking at you, EA, you bastards. Yes, there's a whole debate on whether certain games should or shouldn't be allowed modding, but generally for companies such as EA, it comes down to the simple notion that they can't make money off the mods. I mean, Sims 4's Pets DLC now has its own DLC, stuff for pets. This is just clothes and a hamster, that's basically it. Skins and a tiny animated pixel. Talk about rinsing your audience. If modders were allowed to do something, anything to the game of any sort of value, then think about the endless options. Tigers or memes could be put in, imported as pets, let alone the endless opportunities for other items or ideas to be able to be put in. Maps, houses, all of the above. I remember when Battlefield 3 came out and someone managed to mod one map, the Grand Bazaar, and make it nighttime. That was it. Literally dimmed the lights. The creator and any server using this variation were banned, threatened to be sued, on the spot. And this was before esports even became a thing, so there was no, oh, we need it for a competitive atmosphere vibe going on. It was just bullshit. There are a whole spectrum of mods you can install in order to completely change your experience. Some people are really die-hard storytellers, projecting a fiction through a character they particularly like. I can only guess that when people create these story arcs for certain characters, they started by asking the good old question, what if? I'll briefly go over the main types of mods you can expect for games and what the desired effect for each one is. The main 4 are total conversion mods, skins, AI, and map modifications. Total conversion mods are by far the most impressive and to an extent can be the most immersive. They can change the timeline within a story, e.g. making Napoleon Total War into a World War I strategy game, or they can completely change the genre of the story being told, such as turning a military sim, such as Arma 2, into a zombie survival game, e.g. DayZ, or altering Grand Theft Auto into a role-playing game. Skins are some of the most basic mods people look for, but their simplicity is somewhat required. The desire for different looking characters has become so obvious that even the major studios have started to gave them off behind paywalls, usually in the cancerous form of loot boxes. Whether it's implementing your favourite character into another beloved franchise, making people look more historically accurate, or you just want to traverse a world with childhood toys flying in the air, skins can make the experience more immersive or more of an existential nightmare, and that's just perfect. An example of this is transforming the once intimidating dragons on Skyrim into Thomas the Tank Engines. Another mod are maps and levels, pretty much what it says on the tin. These mods either add entirely new levels or tweak existing ones. These can be found across basically any type of game. Then you got AI, another self-explanatory mod. Often in games the AI isn't quite up to people's expectations, so users will want to add improvements to this. This type of mod, in my experience, dominates the strategy game genre. People who have followed the modding scene for a while tend to see trends. For instance, a lot of mods that have branched out of fandoms seem to stick to particular genres in order to tell a story or to help the player feel a certain uniqueness about that world. Look at Third Age Total War. You couldn't really work Lord of the Rings in with DayZ, it just wouldn't really fit. But stick Lord of the Rings into a series like Total War Saga, and suddenly you're letting people control entire armies over the Middle-earth map, with specific locations and quests added in to give it an authentic feel. Due to the passion people have for stories such as Lord of the Rings or even Star Wars, means when they implement these fandoms into a game, it's usually with love and care. Not just a whim for no reason, it's because they want to see that universe within the parameters of the game being modded. For Star Wars in particular, there's probably only a handful of games which allow mods that don't have Star Wars recreation. You can find the fandom across all genres, and that's wonderful for a fan like me. Getting to experience your favourite characters and locations over an ever-growing number of game engines and genres feels magical, and a great way to interact with a community of like-minded people. Call of Duty, Mount & Blade Warband, Counter-Strike and Stellaris are but a drop in the ocean of games which have incorporated mods with bits of Star Wars, and you know what? On the most part, it works. Sure, there are some which it doesn't work quite as well with, but the passion and idea behind it is still something to be commended. While the majority of mods over the past couple of decades have consisted of skins and map changes, there have also been a growing number of mods which have turned into their own standalone games. The most famous of these used to be Counter-Strike and Gary's mod, but over the past 5 years there have been two mods which have really stood out for the public, DayZ and more recently the Battle Royale modes. Both being mods of the Arma series, they have altered the zeitgeist of gaming for better or worse. As most of you know by now, DayZ was a mod created in the Arma 2 engine and basically sparked the next few years of survival games saturating the market. While the game itself didn't play very well due to cheats, lag and poor optimization, they were all low points for the game, but they didn't stop the desire and demand for the mod. It didn't take long for the mod to quickly become one of the fastest growing games on the market. DayZ allowed other modders to create their own versions of the mod, springing up versions like DayZ Epoch and Overpoch. Each variation featured different things until it became an entirely different beast than it started as, and people loved that. Fast forward a few years and the DayZ standalone, which was launched into early access at the end of 2013, had managed to sell 3 million copies by 2015. People wanted to play it. They wanted to play the game they all fell in love with on a better engine and to do new things. It was with the surge of interest for this survival mod which sparked big games such as Ark and 7 Days to Die. While it still hasn't been released, the fact of the matter is, this mod revitalised interest in this genre which hadn't been seen in years. Onto Battle Royale, or PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds as it's called these days. While there isn't really much left to say about this game due to its popularity, the subject has been covered to death, Green modded Arma 3 to make a Battle Royale mode. This mod became increasingly popular, to the extent where game developers contacted him asking him for input. He worked on H1Z1 and then got hired by Bluehole to make his version of the genre, which resulted in the infamous Battlegrounds. Again, this trend we're seeing in gaming now is all because of this mod. So two of the most influential games of the past 5 years have been mods, and subsequently turned into their own games, while shifting every other developer and studio to copy the idea. There is now a Battle Royale mode for a huge amount of games, and more to come. Just like when every game and their mum had a zombie variation. So why do some developers keep wanting to suppress mods? Recently, the argument has been something on the lines of, modding makes it harder for games to be taken seriously in a competitive environment, so esports. Doesn't matter what players want or the innovations that could be had, what matters is the possibility for commercialization. Why would you allow mods when you can charge for skins or maps? This wasn't always the case. The normal response used to be that security reasons, but through the popularity of online multiplayer, other excuses kept rising again and again. Dean Hall, the creator of DayZ himself, spoke out about his love for mods at PAX a few years back. He said, "What might make me happiest is DayZ is a kind of a big fuck you to everyone who said modding wasn't important." A Bohemia Interactive rep had this to say about mods: "I think modders are a fantastic way of keeping the game industry connected with the community as they are not influenced by third parties, such as publishers. Modders make what they want rather than what will make the most profit, so they make what the players want because they are players themselves." Then there's GTA. where players showed the world how protective people are about mods, thanks to the PR disaster that is 2K Games and their attempt to shut down Open4 for GTA 5. The attempted shutdown of his beloved program opened a Pandora's box of trouble for the company, with people review bombing the hell out of the game until the decision was reversed. With Ubisoft not allowing mods, EA with a wavering reputation on mods, and Bethesda trying to monetize mods under the veil of helping out the creators, it's more important now than ever to realise what mods allow people, nay the entire community, to be able to do and experience. There are ways to support these creators which don't require them splitting their revenue with the publisher. The majority of people who mod do it for the love of the craft or because they want to add something to the gaming experience, for themselves or for everyone else, not some corporate entity who can exploit it. As mods have been some of the biggest trendsetters over the past decade, longer even, it's imperative that we don't allow companies to squeeze free mods out of existence. For the industry's own sake, mods are a good idea. Even Microsoft had come to see this, letting Xbox owners have access to official mods. While this isn't perfect, it's still a step forward. Mods encourage innovation, sprout up competition, and help people pursue their dreams through a game, whether it's living vicariously in a game world, or by adding the mod as a project to a portfolio of experience for future employers.